The old man looked down. Naya lifted her eyes from the machine. Something about the old man made her heart uncomfortable. He did not look like someone trying to disturb people. He looked like someone who had already been disappointed several times that day. Madame Caro waved her hand. "Go outside and look for someone else." "We do not have time." The old man stood there for another second. Then slowly he turned to leave. As he turned, the torn sleeve opened wider. The fabric almost pulled away completely from the shoulder. Naya looked at him. Then she looked at the wedding dress in front of her. She knew she should stay quiet. She knew Madame Caro hated disobedience. She knew Kemi was watching her like a hawk, but her heart would not rest. She remembered her father. Before he died, he used to wear one brown coat to church every Sunday. It had been his best coat. Whenever the sleeve tore, her mother would sit under the evening lamp and fix it carefully. Naya swallowed. Then she stood up. "Sir," she called gently. The old man stopped and looked back. Naya turned to Madame Caro. "Ma, please let me help him quickly. It will only take a few minutes." Madame Caro stared at her. "Are you mad?" Naya lowered her voice. "Ma, please." The sleeve is almost falling off. "He said he has somewhere important to go," Kemi hissed. There she goes again. Mother Teresa of Unpaid Market. Some people nearby laughed. Naya felt embarrassed. But she did not move. Madame Caro pointed at the wedding dress. "If that bride comes and this dress is not ready, will this old man pay me?" Naya said quietly. "I will finish it, Ma, I promise." Madame Caro looked at her for a long moment. Then she clicked her tongue. "You have 5 minutes. And if anything goes wrong today, do not beg me." Naya nodded quickly. "Thank you, Ma." She took the old coat from the man and guided him to sit on a small bench outside the shop. Then she returned to the sewing machine. As she held the coat, she noticed something strange. The fabric was very high quality. The lining inside was smooth. There was a small golden button hidden near the cuff. It did not look like the kind of coat a poor man would wear, but the man himself looked tired and dusty. So Naya pushed the thought away. She worked fast but carefully. The tear was worse than it looked. If she only stitched the top, it would tear again. So she opened the seam, folded the fabric properly, and reinforced the shoulder from inside. Kemi watched her and shook her head. See how she is wasting time on a coat that may not even bring 200 naira. Naya ignored her. After some minutes, she finished. She carried the coat outside and gave it to the old man. He stood slowly and wore it. The sleeve sat perfectly. The old man looked at it, then looked at Naya. "You did this well," he said. Naya smiled gently. "It was badly torn. I had to strengthen it from inside." "How much?" he asked. Naya hesitated. One quiet morning, a black luxury SUV stopped in front of a tiny tailoring shop at the edge of a poor market road. The shop was so small that most people passed it without looking twice. The roof was patched with old zinc. The wooden signboard had faded under the sun. And inside that little shop, a young woman named Naya was sitting behind an old sewing machine, trying to repair a customer's dress before the evening. But when the SUV stopped, everyone in the market turned. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. Then one of them looked around and asked one question. "Is this where the tailor named Naya works?" Naya froze. Her hands stopped moving on the sewing machine. She did not know these men. She did not know why they had come. And deep inside her heart, fear slowly began to rise. Because only the day before, Naya had been humiliated in front of everyone for helping an old man nobody wanted to touch. She had no idea that one small act of kindness was about to change her life forever. Sit back, relax, and let us enter this emotional story. Naya lived in the city of Enugu, but her life did not look like the life many young women dreamed about. She was 27 years old, hardworking, gentle, and respectful. But life had not been kind to her. Every morning she woke up before sunrise in a small rented room behind a mechanic workshop. The room had one narrow window, one thin mattress, one plastic bucket, and one old wooden box where she kept her clothes. Whenever it rained, water leaked through the corner of the roof and spread slowly across the floor. Naya had learned to sleep with one eye open during rainy nights. If the rain started, she would quickly stand up, move her mattress, and place a bowl under the leaking spot. Sometimes she laughed softly at herself and said, "One day, I will sleep in a room where rain stays outside." But even when she said those words, she did not know when that day would come. Her father had died when she was still young. Her mother, Mama Ebere, sold vegetables for many years to raise her. But recently Mama Ebere had become sick. Some days she could still sit outside and greet neighbors. Other days she could not even stand without help. Naya was the only child, so everything rested on her shoulders. Rent, food, medicine, hospital visits, market debt, sewing materials, every little money she made had a place to go before it even touched her hand. Yet Naya never stopped working. She worked in a small tailoring shop owned by a woman named Madame Crow. The shop was inside Ogbede Market, between a shoe repair stand and a small kiosk that sold phone chargers. Madame Caro was a sharp woman with a loud voice. She knew how to attract customers, but she also knew how to make her workers afraid. She often reminded Naya, "I gave you this work when nobody else wanted to help you. Do not make me regret it." Naya always nodded. Yes, Ma, she was not lazy. She arrived early, swept the shop, arranged the fabrics, threaded the machines, measured customers, and sometimes worked late into the night. Some customers liked her because she listened carefully and spoke gently, but that made another worker angry. Her name was Kemi. Kemi had been working with Madame Caro longer than Naya. Before Naya came, most customers asked for Kemi, but slowly, people started asking for Naya instead. Not because Naya was trying to steal anyone's place. She simply did her work with patience still. Kemi did not like it. One afternoon, as Naya bent over the sewing machine, carefully fixing the sleeve of a school uniform, Kemi leaned against the wall and watched her. "You think you are special now," Kemi said quietly. Naya looked up. "What do you mean?" Kemi smiled, but the smile was not friendly. "Customers now ask for you. Madame Caro now gives you important work. You think I do not see it?" Naya shook her head gently. "Kemi, I am only trying to work. We are all here to survive." Kemi laughed softly. "Survive quietly, then. Do not shine too much." Naya did not answer. She lowered her head and continued sewing. She had bigger problems than jealousy. That same evening, after work, she went to buy medicine for her mother. The pharmacist wrote the amount on a small paper and pushed it toward her. Naya stared at it. Her heart dropped. "Please, sir," she said softly. "Can I pay half now and bring the rest later?" The pharmacist looked at her with tired eyes. "Naya, you still have an old balance here. I have tried for you many times." "I know, sir. Please, my mother needs it." He sighed and packed a smaller quantity. "Take this one for now. But please try to pay the balance soon." Naya collected the medicine with both hands. "Thank you, sir. God bless you." That night, when she gave the medicine to her mother, Mama Ebere looked at her carefully. "You did not eat well today," her mother said. Naya forced a smile. "I ate, Mama." Mama Ebere shook her head. "Do not lie to me. I am your mother." Naya sat beside her and held her hand. "I am fine. Once I finish the big wedding dress Madame Caro gave me, she may add small extra money. Then everything will be better." Her mother looked at her with love and sadness. "My daughter, you carry too much." Naya smiled again, but this time her eyes were wet. "One day I will carry joy." "Mama, let me carry this one for now." The next morning, the market was already noisy before the sun became hot. Traders shouted prices. Motorcycles passed through narrow spaces. Women carried baskets on their heads. Customers moved from shop to shop, touching fabrics and asking questions. Inside Madame Caro's tailoring shop, Naya worked quietly. A bride was coming in 3 days to collect her wedding reception dress. It was a difficult dress with delicate beadwork, and Madame Caro had warned everyone not to make mistakes. "If this dress spoils," Madame Caro said, pointing at the fabric, "the person responsible will pay with her salary." Naya swallowed and nodded. She worked carefully, her fingers moving with focus. Around noon, while the sun was high, an old man walked slowly into the front of the shop. He wore a dark brown coat that looked expensive but old. One sleeve was torn badly from the shoulder. His sandals were dusty. His face looked tired. He held a small black bag in one hand and a folded paper in the other. He stood at the entrance for a moment. as if he was not sure whether to come in. Madame Caro saw him first. Her face changed. "Old man, what do you want?" she asked sharply. The man bowed his head a little. "Good afternoon," he said. His voice was calm but weak. "Please, I need help. My coat tore on the way. I have somewhere important to go, and I need someone to help me stitch it." Madame Caro looked at the coat and frowned. "We are busy. Please," the old man said. "It will not take long. I can pay something small." Kemi looked at the coat and laughed. "Something small? Baba, this is not roadside charity. Can't you see we are working on important clothes?" She knew she needed money. Even small money could help with transport home. But something in her heart told her not to collect from him. She shook her head. "No, sir. It is fine." The old man frowned slightly. "You will not collect money?" "No, sir. Why?" Naya smiled faintly. "Because you looked like you needed help more than I needed payment." The old man looked at her for a long time. Then he said, "What if helping me brings trouble for you?" Naya's smile faded a little. She glanced toward Madame Caro's shop. Then she looked back at him. "Trouble is already part of life, sir. But kindness should not disappear because life is hard." The old man's eyes softened. "What is your name?" "Naya." He nodded slowly, as if saving the name somewhere deep inside his mind. "Naya," he repeated. "Thank you." He reached into his pocket and brought out a small card. But before he could give it to her, a motorcycle suddenly passed too close to the shop, splashing dirty water from a pothole onto his trousers. Kemi burst into laughter. "Baba, today is not your day." The old man looked down at the stain. Naya quickly stepped forward. "Please wait," she said. She rushed inside, took a clean cloth, dipped it into water, and came back. She bent slightly and cleaned the dirt from his trousers. The old man stepped back, uncomfortable. "My daughter, you do not have to do that." "It is okay," Naya said. "You said you are going somewhere important." The market noise continued around them. But for a moment the old man simply stood still. When she finished, he whispered, "May your own day of help not pass you by." Then he turned and walked away. Naya watched him disappear into the crowd. She did not know that the old man had not come there by accident. She did not know that his name was Chief Gabriel Okori. She did not know that he was the founder of one of the largest textile companies in the state. And she did not know that he had been walking through the market that day with a torn coat because he wanted to see how people treated a man who appeared to have nothing. When Naya returned inside the shop, Madame Caro's face was hard. "You enjoyed your charity work?" Naya lowered her head. "I am sorry, Ma. I will continue the dress now." Kemi smiled from the corner. "Madam, people like Naya are dangerous. They like forming good persons so customers will praise them." Naya looked at her. "Kemi, please. Please what?" Kemi snapped. "Am I lying?" Madame Caro raised her hand. "Enough. Everybody work." Naya sat back at the sewing machine, but her heart was no longer calm. That evening she stayed late to make up for the time she had lost. The market became quieter. Shops closed one after another. Madame Caro left early, warning her to lock properly. Kemi also left, but before leaving she looked at Naya and smiled strangely. Naya did not understand the smile. She continued working. By the time she finished the beadwork section, it was already dark. She packed the wedding dress carefully into a protective bag and placed it on the high shelf. Then she locked the shop and went home. The next morning, everything changed. Naya arrived early as usual. She swept the front of the shop, opened the windows, arranged the threads, and started preparing for work. A few minutes later, Madame Caro arrived. She went straight to the shelf to inspect the wedding dress. Suddenly she screamed, "Naya!" Naya rushed in. "What happened, Ma?" Madame Caro pulled down the wedding dress. Naya's heart stopped. There was a long tear near the side seam. Some of the beads had been pulled out. The fabric looked damaged. Naya covered her mouth. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no. I kept it properly yesterday." Madame Caro's eyes became red with anger. "You kept it properly? Then what is this?" "I do not know, Ma. It was not like this when I left." Kemi entered at that moment. She looked at the dress and gasped loudly. "Jesus." "The bride's dress?" Madame Caro turned to Naya. You were the last person in this shop yesterday. Naya shook her head quickly. Yes, Ma, but I did not damage it. I swear. Kemi folded her arms. Madam, I do not want to talk too much, but yesterday she was rushing because of that old man's coat. Maybe she made a mistake and hit it. Naya turned sharply. Kemi. Kemi raised her eyebrows. What? Did you not work on the dress after wasting time outside? Dia's chest tightened. I did not tear it. Madame Caro stepped closer. So the dress tore itself? By now, nearby traders were gathering at the entrance. Customers passing by slowed down to watch. Naya felt the eyes of the market on her. Ma, please believe me, she said. I finished the work. I checked it before keeping it. Madame Caro laughed bitterly. Believe you? Do you know how much this fabric costs? Do you know the kind of bride this dress belongs to? Naya's voice trembled. Please, Ma, let me repair it. I can fix it before she comes. Madame Caro pointed at her. You will repair it, yes. But after today you are finished here. Naya froze. Ma, you heard me. After you fix this dress, carry your things and leave my shop. Naya felt as if the ground had opened under her feet. Ma, please. My mother is sick. I need this work. Madame Caro's face remained cold. You should have thought about your sick mother before playing kindness with strangers during work hours. The words hit Naya deeply. She looked around. People were watching. Some looked sorry for her. Others whispered. Kemi stood quietly in the corner, but there was a small satisfaction in her eyes. Naya wanted to cry, but she swallowed it. She walked to the sewing machine and sat down. Her hand shook as she threaded the needle. For hours, she worked on that dress with tears in her eyes. She repaired the torn seam. She replaced the missing beads. She steamed the fabric gently until the damage became almost invisible. When the bride came later that afternoon, she smiled when she saw the dress. It is beautiful, the bride said. Madame Caro smiled proudly as if nothing had happened. Naya stood at the back, silent. After the bride left, Madame Caro opened the drawer, counted some money, and threw a small amount on the table. Take this for the days you worked this week. Naya looked at the money. It was not even half of what she expected. Ma, please, this is too small. Madame Caro glared at her. You damage my reputation. Be grateful I am giving you anything. Naya slowly picked up the money. She packed her small scissors, measuring tape, and notebook into an old bag. As she stepped out, Kemi came close and whispered, Next time, use your kindness to feed yourself. Naya stopped for a moment. She wanted to answer, but she did not. She simply walked away. That evening, she got home tired and broken. Her mother was sitting on the mattress, coughing softly. You came early, Mama Ebere said. Naya forced a smile. But it did not stay. Mama Ebere looked at her face and understood. What happened? Naya sat down slowly. I lost the job, Mama. Her mother closed her eyes for a few seconds. Neither of them spoke. Then Mama Ebere reached for Naya's hand. Come here, Naya. Moved closer and placed her head on her mother's lap like a child. She finally began to cry. I did not do anything. Wrong, she whispered. I only helped an old man. I only fixed his coat. Mama Ebere stroked her hair gently. My daughter, sometimes doing good can cost you before it blesses you. Naya cried quietly. I am tired. Mama, I know, her mother said softly. But do not let this world make your heart hard. That night, rain fell heavily. Water began to drip from the roof again. Naya stood up, placed a bowl under the leak, and moved the mattress away from the wet corner. Her mother watched, her with pain in her eyes. Naya sat on the floor beside the bowl and listened to the sound of dripping water drop by drop. It sounded like a clock counting down her worries. No job, a sick, mother, unpaid rent, medicine debt, and now, no clear way forward. She looked at the small money Madame Caro had given her. It was barely enough for food and transport. Then she remembered the old man. She remembered his torn coat, his calm voice, his blessing, may your own day of help not pass you by. Naya wiped her tears. I hope he reached where he was going, she whispered, even in her own pain. She was still worried about him. The next morning, Naya woke up early. She cooked a small pot of pap for her mother, cleaned the room, and prepared to go out to search for work. She wore her only neat dress and tied her hair back. Before leaving, her mother called her. Naya. Yes, Mama. Whatever happens today, keep your dignity. Naya nodded. I will. She stepped out and walked toward the market, but before she reached the main road, something unusual happened. A black luxury SUV drove slowly into their poor compound. Children stopped playing. Neighbors came out of their rooms. The mechanic across the road wiped his hands on a rag and stared. The SUV was too clean, too expensive, too powerful for that environment. It stopped directly in front of Naya's room. Two men in suits stepped out. Naya's heart started beating fast. One of the men looked at her. Good morning, he said politely. Are you Miss Naya Ibere? Naya took a small step back. Yes, please, is there a problem? The men looked at each other. No problem. Our chairman wants to see you. Chairman? Naya repeated. Yes, which chairman? The man brought out a card and handed it to her. Naya looked at it. Okori Royal Textiles Group. Her eyes widened. She had heard that name before. Everyone in the city knew Okori Textiles. They owned factories, fashion schools, warehouses, and big showrooms across the state. Naya looked back at the men. I do not understand. Why would your chairman want to see me? The man answered calmly. He said you helped him yesterday. Naya froze. The old man, her lips parted slightly. Please, she asked slowly. Is he okay? The men smiled faintly. He is fine. He asked us to bring you. Naya turned toward her room. Her mother was watching from the doorway, confused and worried. Naya walked to her quickly. Mama, I think it is the old man from yesterday. Mama Ibere looked at the SUV and then back at her daughter. Go, she said gently. But be careful. Naya nodded. She followed the men into the SUV. As the car drove away, the whole compound remained outside watching. Naya sat quietly in the back seat. Her hands were folded tightly on her lap.